Hello and welcome to New Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The headlines at this hour. President Bola Tinubu demands punishment for culprits of Ibadan explosion. Rivers State Assembly clears 9 ex-commissioners for Governor Fubara's cabinet. Tension spills into streets after Comoros President Asumani's re-election. New Central now begins with the latest on the explosion in Oyo State, Nigeria. We understand the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, has disclosed that preliminary investigations by security agencies revealed that the explosion that rocked the Bodija area of Ibadan, the state capital, on Tuesday was caused by explosive devices stored by illegal miners. The blast, which occurred on Tuesday, resulted in the tragic loss of at least 10 lives, with 15 others hospitalized. The impact of the explosion extended to several key locations, including the governor's office, Secretariat, Oyo State House of Assembly, and the residence of the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Chief Bola Ige. Additionally, damage was reported in various neighborhoods such as Ologuneru, Apete, New Garage, Bashorun, Akobo, Sango, and Eleyele. Governor Makinde, who visited the scene of the incident on Tuesday night, assured the public that further investigations are underway. He emphasized that anyone found responsible for the tragedy would face legal consequences. Rescue operations are already in progress at the affected areas as authorities work diligently to provide assistance and support to those affected.
This devastation here, and from what we've gathered so far, the likelihood is that you have illegal miners trying to explosive around this place. We've always said to people that when you see something, say something, and then the authorities should be able to do something. This is quite unfortunate. At this stage, is just to rescue anyone that is still under the rubble here, and also the people that have been taken to the hospital to give them care, and also some of the people who have their houses destroyed, provide temporary accommodation for them at hotels within the city. And then in the morning, we definitely will continue the investigation. The affected families, I'll say the government is here. We will support them in the recovery effort. But most importantly, we'll react appropriately to this incident. It's just it's devastating. It's something that it's difficult.
And to discuss the blast and its links to illegal mining operations, we are joined by Stanley Ikechukwu, Head of Operations, SBM Intelligence. Stanley Ikechukwu, it's nice to have you around.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Now, the Bodija Ibadan explosion has been linked to illegal mining activities in the state. Could this be termed as a double crime of some sort, looking at the fact that it has affected innocent lives and the fact that it has resulted in accidents to this proportion?
Yes, it is. It is actually a double crime because illegal mining illegally is a crime, and also the proceeds has also cost lives. So that's a double crime. But I don't think it's going to be a close case. We're hoping that the governor of Oyo State, Governor Makinde, will be able to follow this up to a logical conclusion, rather than just let it drop like that. This is like the first time something of such is happening in Ibadan, and I'm very hopeful. I'm believing that he would go beyond just doing the normal thing that we know in Nigeria. When cases like this happen, there's a media hype, and after some time, the whole issue dies down. I'm sure he's going to follow up this to a logical conclusion. But like he said when you see something, you say something so that the government can actually do something. Again, people who live around there know that people are stockpiling this kind of materials there. But I don't want to say maybe they are also benefiting from it. But I think it's something that they should have spoken of. If something like that has been said, I'm sure they would have avoided this kind of calamity that has fallen them.
Well, probably a few people might have seen the movement of such device or explosive or material move around the community, and some will just want to mind their own business. But then let's look at the mining sector, as it were. We know it as a growing sector in Nigeria, despite many precious and commercially viable elements in the country. But then why is it that we only hear or see that artisanal miners are the only ones involved in mining activities in the country?
Well, they are actually not, they are legal miners, so there are companies that have license to actually mine. Artisanal miners is because of the kind of mining expeditions that happens in this part of the continent. What we do here is mostly surface mining. Unlike where in South Africa, where gold is being mined in serious quantity, and in Ghana, we see a lot of big mining firms, big mining operations happening there, because most of those mining processes are actually deep down underground mining. So that's why it is like that. But again, the issue is not about having just only artisans who are actually mining in that area. Is that there's been issue with licensing. The way government has licensed some of these things, it brings some sort of confusion where you give license to 2-3 persons to mine in the same area. It should bring about confrontation and conflict. So that's why we're seeing many of these movements around Nigeria. Maybe if we then begin to look at deep down mining, then we would see a lot of other investment coming from big mining companies to do that.
Talking about dynamites, now dynamites are not common, and buying them also is not in everyday markets but in specialized markets. Would it not be proper to have some background check in place for both sellers and buyers? You talked about the fact that there should be some sort of documentation ratifying operations like this. Owing to the fact that it had to happen in a residential building, should that even be done, knowing fully well that this is a very sensitive job being done using sensitive materials that could cause damage if it goes south? So when you look at the issue of dynamite being used and documentations, what should be the processes? How do we guard and tailor things like this so that it doesn't become a monumental catastrophe in cases like this?
So most of the problems we have in this country is because there are no consequences to action. That's why you see people running, permit me to use the word, running mad, doing whatever they like, because they know they either have security operatives to cover for them in their pockets, or they know one godfather somewhere. If there are consequences to action, I'm sure we would have started up by now. Most of what's happening is, like I said, is because there are no consequences to action. So miners in this area those are not the major issue. Those are not the major issue until there are consequences. And I'm hoping that Mr. Governor Seyi Makinde will follow this to a logical conclusion to see that whoever or the people involved in this thing are brought to book.
So finally, what regulations do you think will be proper in guarding these activities in the sector? You said that miners are not the issue, and of course investigations are already underway, but they will want to try as much as possible to preempt situations like this and nip them before the festa rather than be reactionary. When it comes to regulating this sector, what are the policies that should be in place? Which agencies should be in the know when it comes to managing these activities in the sector to ensure that things done in the sector are proper and all the companies and people involved follow a certain set down rules and regulations of engagement?
Again, another problem is that I don't think regulation or making laws or making rules are a problem in this country. If it's about making laws, those are not issues. The issues are, executing those laws that you put in place. You see, when they put these regulations in place and you still find people who eventually get things like waiver, it means that regulation has gone one-sided. If they put regulation in place, it makes sense that they follow it up to the very best. Otherwise, it makes no sense. There's a law of law. The Constitution itself is very compact enough to show that this is what to do, this is what not to do. But then there are people who are special breed, let me put it that way, people that the government actually cannot touch. And it's unfortunate because that industry has actually like a black hole. There's a whole lot going on in that industry that the government has not come out to tell us what is happening. That industry alone can generate so much to contribute to the growth of the economy of Nigeria, but they just kept it one side for a few people who are just making and milking the country up from it. So, like I said, the regulations are there. It's about following up to a sensible conclusion. They've made a lot of noise about the whole mining industry, and the minister one time said they were putting in place a special police to actually monitor situations, monitor activities in the mining area. But it's not about bringing a special police. We've had the normal type of police. We've had all the types of security apparatus in this country. But still, yes, many of these crimes still persist. In a country of, say, less than 1,000 square kilometers, Nigeria has about 1,400 illegal entry points into this country. So it's difficult to actually man these illegal entry points. So these people will continue to come in until the government actually sit down and say, we're going to execute the regulations that are here and follow it up to the best of knowledge.
Okay, Stanley Kechuku, thank you so much for talking to us as regards the issue around illegal mining activities. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you so much.
You're watching News Central now. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. We now tell you that Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has expressed sadness over the devastating explosion that occurred on Tuesday night in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, demanding punishments for those responsible. The explosion killed 2 persons and wounded about 80 others. It also destroyed several buildings, vehicles and other properties in Bodija area of the sprawling city. This was made known in a statement signed by the presidential spokesman, Ajuri Ngelale. President Tinubu commiserated with the government and people of Oyo State and called on all concerned agencies of government to unravel the circumstances that led to the tragedy. He also directed the National Emergency Management Agency to work with the Oyo State Government to offer immediate and comprehensive relief to the victims. To politics now. The Supreme Court in Nigeria has adjourned ruling on the appeal by the New Nigeria People's Party against the Taraba State Governor Kefas Adu. The NNPP and its governorship candidate, Professor Yahaya Sani, are contesting the victory of Adu and the People's Democratic Party in the March 18 governorship election in the state. The Court of Appeal in Abuja had affirmed the election of Adu as the state governor. The appellate court held that the allegations of non-compliance, irregularities and other malpractices were not proven by the appellants in line with the provisions of the law. After listening to the council's arguments, the 5-member panel led by Justice Kudirat Kikereekun reserved judgment on the matter. Staying with politics, we understand that the Rivers State House of Assembly in Nigeria has rescreened and cleared all 9 former commissioners who resigned from Governor Siminalayi Fubara's cabinet in the wake of the political crisis rocking the state. The commissioners had, in November last year, tendered their resignation letters amid the face-off between Fubara and his predecessor, former Governor Nyesom Wike, now Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. However, Fubara a few days ago resubmitted the names of the 9 nominees to the State House of Assembly for clearance. During plenary on Wednesday, the former commissioners were not subjected to any question as they were asked to take a bow and leave the chamber.
Zacchaeus Adango, SCN, DSSRS. 2. Dr. Jacobson Mbina, DSSRS. 3. Dr. Gifts Wallo. 4. 1. Zacchaeus Adango, SCN, DSSRS. 2. Dr. Jacobson Mbina, DSSRS. 3. Dr. Gifts Wallo. 4. Mrs. Inime Chinwenwo Abuma, DSSRS. 5. Engineer Chukwemeka Woke, FNSC, DSSRS. Professor Prince Chinedu Mom, JP, DSSRS. 7. Dr. George Kelly D. Alabo, FNIQS, DSSRS. 8. Honorable Isaac Kamalu, DSSRS. And lastly, the 9th name is Engineer Austin Ben Shoma, DSSRS. Thank you for the kind consideration of my request by the House, and please accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurance of my highest regards.
Meanwhile, the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amewule, has accused staff of Government House of refusing to receive communication from the House to the Governor. According to him, if such continues, the House will also stop receiving communication from the office of the Governor.
But we have noticed in the recent past that staff of Government House choose to send communication to us from the Governor, but refuse to take the one to the Governor from us. And let me place it on record, so that it will be recorded in the hands that the staff of Government House, who was sent by the Governor to bring this letter to us, brought this letter, and when he was asked to receive a letter to the Governor, he declined to collect. So they preferred to send communication to us, but refused to take communication from us. And I need this thing to be on record and let it be in the hands that the staff who brought this communication refused to take communication meant for the Governor. And we have resorted to courier services to be sending mails to the Governor. And it's important that we let Rivers people know that this is the situation. But we remain undeterred and we'll continue to do our work. If this continues, a situation where the office of the Governor will refuse to take communication from us, we will also stop receiving communication from the Governor. And it's good that we make this very, very clear. The same election, on the same day we ran to serve Rivers people, in the same election they also ran to be in the office. And we need to work for the interests of the people of Rivers State.
We now tell you that several youths staged a protest at the headquarters of the Nigeria Upstream Regulatory Commission in Abuja. The youths, mainly from Nigeria's South-South extraction, have criticized stakeholders and leaders from the region of abandoning the region at every available opportunity to hold meetings at the Upstream Commission in Abuja. They urged the stakeholders and leaders to stay in the region and address issues affecting youths in any of the Niger Delta states.
This particular discourse is to call the attention of all stakeholders to desist forthwith from coming to Abuja every time to hold meeting. Let us hold our meetings in Warri with dignity We are speaking to our brothers in the Niger Delta, stop coming to hold meetings in Abuja. We're only speaking to some stakeholders who are not comfortable at holding meetings in Warri. We want the meetings to hold in Warri or any other major city of the Niger Delta.
To security matters now, the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, on Wednesday held a town hall meeting with residents of the Bari Area Council over the high level of insecurity in the territory. The FCT minister said his administration will make it unbearable for bandits to operate in the Federal Capital Territory. Speaking in the town hall meeting with the Bari Area Council chairman, royal fathers and residents of Bari in the Area Council, Wike said the president, that is Bola Tinubu, has directed him and all service chiefs to explore all necessary means to bring an end to the kidnappings and killings of residents by bandits in Bari and other areas in the FCT.
Yesterday, Mr. President summoned a high-level security meeting, which includes all the service chiefs, the ministers of defense, and my humble self, because of recent attacks, particularly in Buhari. And so security is one of the key priorities that Mr. President in the leadership agenda will want to face squarely. It is no longer going to be business as usual. Everything has to be done to protect life and property. Without protection of life and property, then we have no business to be in government. My coming here today is to assure you that we are very, very serious. We are very, very serious. All those criminals, bandits, enough is enough. We do. Without information, there's nothing we can do. And that is where you have to play a key role. Traditional institution, you have a role to play. Community leaders, you have a role to play. Because by information, you help the security agencies to proactively take control before anything will happen. And so in the next few days, you will see the action of the security agencies to make sure that this kidnapping is brought to a halt. So I condole with you, I sympathize with you for the death of some of our people, for the kidnap of some of our people.
To discuss this, we're being joined by Peter Olumuji, a security expert. Thank you so much, Peter Olumuji, for talking to us at this time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, we're talking about the Federal Capital Territory, that is the capital of Nigeria, the seat of power. One would have thought that that would be the most secure place in Nigeria. Now that we're seeing increasing attacks by bandits, we're seeing killings and kidnappings, what do you think that speaks of in terms of the security architecture in the FCT and if we're going to scale it further in Nigeria?
Yes, I can say without mincing word that the FCT is still the safest place in Nigeria. And you should know that if you listen to what the minister have said, security issues cut across the globe. In fact, in US that we feel have the best of security, there have been this rising cases of mass shooting, which has become a source of concern to them. If you look at the attack on Israel the other day, most people felt nobody can make a surprise attack on them, but we saw what happened on October 7th. So when you talk about security challenges, it's a global phenomenon. It's not peculiar to a particular environment alone. Every area has its own security challenges. And you know that the hot pursuit and the intense operational clearance that the military are carrying out in the northeast and northwest have put pressure on these bandits, on these terrorists, and they are looking for safe haven to where they can hibernate. And they are moving downward this way to the fringes of the border communities between FCT, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Niger, and Kogi. So I can tell you without mincing word that FCT is still the safest place in Nigeria today. And the challenge we are seeing now is just is an isolated case. It's not something that has consumed the entire FCT.
Having said that, what specific security measures and strategies would you now say should be implemented to effectively deal with the rising incidents of kidnappings and banditry in the FCT?
Yes, I want to, first of all, encourage the G7 initiative that was instituted some few years ago that deals with, has collaboration with the 6 other states bordering the FCT, contiguous to FCT, the Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kogi, Kaduna, all these states. The G7 initiative is to clear every nook and cranny of the border communities of bandit camps and terrorist hideouts. I want to encourage that the FCT administration continue with that initiative because it's going to help so much. The bandits that are living the northeast and the northwest are moving this way, and once these states can really have a hot pursuit on them, not giving them breathing space in those places and suffocating them, you realize that this issue of they coming to kidnap and the rest will be a thing of the past. Then secondly, we also want to encourage the traditional institution to play a key role, because there's no way anybody, a stranger, will come into your community that you will not see something. And the popular adage is that when you see something, you say something. We want to encourage the traditional institution that they should play more in gathering of intelligence. Whenever they see a strange face, they should report according real time to the relevant security agencies. Because one of the things we've noticed in this recent kidnap is that people within the community have become informants to this criminal element. And some arrests have been made, which I know specifically. And I know the security agencies will intensify in identifying these informants within those localities. Because once you are able to deal with those informants, then those coming from outside will not have a field day again. So those are part of what we should encourage. Then we should also encourage the community policing initiative, and also encouraging the residents to have the a hotline of the security agencies, so that when there's any threat to their security, they could put in a call immediately without wasting time.
All right. Of course, we are in the digital era where technology takes precedence in our day-to-day lives. Now, I remember that in the past administration, the former Minister of Information canvassed extensively for the use or for the NIN SIM registration, and that was, of course, to come into place to intercept any form of crime-related information or information that aids criminality in localities. Now, of course, you're an expert in this field. What role do you think technology can play in enhancing the overall security apparatus, not only in FCT, but also in Nigeria?
Yes, let me talk about the issue of registration of the SIM cards in which you can easily track where these phones calls are coming from. I should say that you cannot really blame the people, the operators. Rather, it is we, the residents, that have compromised that stand. Especially, you see people that network providers are meant to domesticate and take ownership of registration of this SIM card, and anybody that you want to issue SIM card to, it should come through them. But again, they have decentralized it to anybody on the street. And on the street, anybody can come and register when they are compromised. So it has become a source of concern. I want to encourage the National Communication Commission to be on the neck of the service provider to let them know that you just don't throw the registration of SIM open to anybody on the street. Yes, we know it helps in simplifying the registration process, but again, we realize that people that have criminal tendencies are capitalizing on this by going to these people on the street and registering SIM and just giving it to anybody, even using fake identity. So at the end of the day, even when you want to track, you are tracking an unexisting human being. Because a fake identity has been used in registering it. Then secondly, I also want to encourage the use of drone. In this century we have, the use of drone will go a long way to also identifying the movement of these bandits and terrorists, as the case may be. And you can, it's a good drone, good surveillance mechanism that you can use that is being used world over. So we encourage the federal government to intensify their effort in use of drone in tracking these kidnappers as they move within the various forests.
Okay, Peter Olumuji, thank you so much for your insight on the news.
Thank you very much.
A break will do here. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away. The Nigerian government has been tasked to engage youths in peace-building efforts and activities in countering violent extremism in the country. This was during a 3-day national policy dialogue in Abuja, organized by the National Counter-Terrorism Center in partnership with the United Nations Counter-Terrorism Center, where they called for education of youths on peace-building efforts. Amadine Uyi reports.
According to available data, Nigeria has suffered from the effects of Boko Haram since early 2002. Terrorists belonging to the group responsible for insecurity in Nigeria's northeast region has killed an estimated 50,000 people and displaced more than 2.5 million persons since it was established. Boko Haram mainly targets youths, recruiting them into its fold and using them to perpetrate widespread violence on innocent citizens.
Terrorist and violent extremist groups have continued their efforts to recruit and radicalize people, both offline and online. This includes through the use of social media, messaging and gaming platforms to target vulnerable young people who are spending significant amounts of time online.
The youth are the fulcrum in every society, just as they are the future of a nation. We are the future of this nation.
In a bid to curb this trend, Nigeria's Counter-Terrorism Center, in partnership with the United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism, initiated a youth engagement and empowerment program aimed at ensuring youth inclusion in their efforts to counter terrorism and extremism in the country. As participants of the program held a 3-day national policy dialogue in Abuja, they said there is a need to educate youths on measures and strategies needed to counter violent extremism.
We, the youth, must be empowered economically and educationally. Why? Because education, for instance, is a critical to any role young people might play in violent extremism because they need to understand what is happening.
Some of the participants highlight benefits of the program.
The knowledge and experience we gain through this program will be used into peer engagement and also in helping towards building our community resilience and encourage more youth to share more opinion and perspective in matters that relates to PCV efforts in Nigeria and at their various communities also.
Youth have been seen as or have been stereotyped as the perpetrators of violence, but that's why we are here. There is so much more we can do. Youth have the largest social demography, and so there is a lot we can do to change the narrative, and that's why we are here. So the YIP program is like a unique opportunity for youth to research, engage, and provide recommendations, realistic ones, to decision makers and policymakers. So I'm hoping that at the end of this program, those recommendations will be implemented.
Participants say education serves as the first line of defense in countering violent extremism in the country. They urge government to mainstream youths in the decision-making and peace-building processes at all levels and ensure they participate in peace-building activities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Comoros security forces have responded with tear gas and arrests on Wednesday after groups angered by the re-election of President Azali Assoumani tried to block roads in the capital. Debris and burning tires were scattered in several streets of Moroni, and the Indian Ocean Archipelago's largest street markets lay deserted after the disputed poll results were announced. Government spokesman Hamid Msadi accused the opposition, which has denounced former military ruler Assoumani's election win as a fraud, of organizing the protests. There have been no reports of deadly violence, but Comoros, home to around 870,000 people, is politically volatile and has seen 20 coups or attempted coups in its short history since independence in 1975. And bringing you stories from other continents, we tell you that Iran has carried out a missile attack targeting what it claims to be militant bases in western Pakistan. Tragically, the strike resulted in the unfortunate death of 2 children. The operation, aimed at the militant group Jaish al-Adli, described by Tehran's foreign minister as an Iranian terrorist group based in Pakistan. The incident unfolded in the region by Balochistan and follows Iran's recent attacks on targets in Iraq and Syria earlier this week. Islamabad has strongly condemned the attack, labeling it as illegal, and has issued a warning of serious consequences. Contradicting Pakistan's claims, Iran's foreign minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian, speaking at Davos, asserted that the missile strike solely targeted members of Jaish al-Adli and not Pakistan citizens. In talking business, the AFCON 2023 tournament has started in Ivory Coast. Now, as the goals have been scored in the various stadia across the West African country, businesses are also thriving. At least traders are said to be selling merchandise related to football in Abidjan markets, and they are smiling to the bank. Incidentally, some of these traders are from Nigeria. News Central's Favor Itoa visited one of such markets and found this report.
During the Nations Cup in Abidjan, Nigerian businesses in the bustling Ajame market thrived amidst the football excitement.
Since from the starting of this tournament, there's really a difference into the business, particularly me. There's a lot of difference. The things we are selling like 10,000. In this tournament, we have a lot of profit.
The market, known for its diverse offerings, witnessed increased activity as football enthusiasts sought merchandise and memorabilia.
If not the frustration our government is giving us over there, business in Nigeria is far better than over here. But because of exchange rate now, we are trying to come over here with Nigerian goods so that we can sell it in their own and get their currency and go back to Nigeria and have enough naira.
Nigerian traders seized the opportunity by providing football team products, food, electronics, shoes, tapping into the favor surrounding the tournament. Collaborations with local vendors enhanced the market's vibrancy, creating a unique fusion of Nigerian and Ivorian cultures.
Many people from the country or other countries came here because of this football, and I can say that this time will be better than the other one.
Overall, the experience in Nigerian market showcased the resilience of Nigerian businesses, highlighting the ability to navigate dynamic market conditions and capitalize on major events.
Many other neighboring countries, even foreigners, they came here, and since they came, there is changes, because I do sell more than I said before. I do sell now more than I said before. The business move faster now.
It also fostered cultural exchange and collaboration, contributing to a vibrant and mutually beneficial economic environment during the Nations Cup. In Abidjan, Ivory Coast, for News Central, Favor Itwa.
Talking sports now, we now join our sports correspondent in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, right there, Favor Itwa, to bring us the latest in the world of sports, most especially looking at AFCON as the tournament is underway. Favor Itwa, over to you.
All right, good evening, Nigeria. Live in Abidjan, precisely Palais de la Culture. We have also coaches of Group A. Just about some minutes ago, we went to the training session of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It was open to the media for 15 minutes. We were able to see which player came out to train. And just to let you know, aside the players listed for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, only Alassane Yusuf did not train. Of course, coach Jose Pesero had said he will not be available for tomorrow's game. The players divided themselves into two and had the light ball walk. They also tried to, shake up and, try to perfect their strategies, of course, ahead of Côte d'Ivoire. From what I observed from the training, we saw smiles on the faces of the Super Eagles, a bit of confidence going into tomorrow's game, especially from the likes of Victor Osimhen, who, of course, trained today, which, of course, is a good news for Nigeria. And not forgetting Nacho, who is fully fit and ready for the tournament, and before the game, of course, tomorrow. And looking at Jose Pesero, we'll wait to see if he will stick with the goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali, who kept the first game against Equatorial Guinea, or could it be Francis Uzor? But all indications is tilting towards Stanley Nwabali, who was good, of course, on the day for Nigeria. And just after the Super Eagles training, the host team, Côte d'Ivoire, also had their training, but of course different venue, as they prepare also to take on the Super Eagles of Nigeria tomorrow. The city is bustling with funfair and fanfare. Of course, different parts of the city has viewing centers, as a lot of them are preparing towards the big game come tomorrow. Final before final, it is right here in the city of Abidjan.
So I'll join you in about a few seconds, but let's quickly listen to what the coach said as regards the match that is to come about tomorrow.
A lot for that. This room is full or almost full. We need to do a very good match. I think it is important to keep our way, our organization, our capacity for playing the attack, playing the offensive match, play well, defend well, compact team. You want?
We know it's going to be a big challenge, but I have a great belief in the team, and yeah, the small things that we can do better will be focused on changing that.
And that's it at this hour. But before we go, we take a look at some of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has demanded punishment for culprits of Ibadan explosion. Rivers State Assembly had cleared 9 ex-commissioners for Governor Fubara's cabinet. And we told you that tension has spilled into streets after Comoros President Assoumani's re-election. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. And you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.